Hey Raghunath, tell everyone about our Patreon community.
Sure, Kastuba. The Wisdom of the Sages Patreon community is an incredible online yoga resource. If you like the type of yoga wisdom and culture we share on the show, then our Patreon community is a great next step. This is a listener-supported podcast, and any level of sponsorship will unlock a wide range of live and archived classes, talks, and even workshops.
Raghunath teaches, I teach, and we have a host of other excellent teachers on topics ranging from yoga philosophy, asana classes, storytelling, Ayurveda, kirtan, cooking, meditation, and a lot more.
We even have an incredible online Bhakti 12-step recovery group.
So if you want to check it out, go to patreon.com/wisdom of the sages.
All right, let's get it on.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Live from Super Soul Farm, this is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily yoga podcast with your host, Raghunath, and co-host and senior educator at the Bhakti Center, New York, Kastuba Das. Welcome to the show, everybody. Welcome to Tuesday study of the Srimad Bhagavatam class. And I am heading down to New York City to visit my good friend Kastuba today.
That's right.
Where pillow fights will ensue, as well as home-baked cookie, and he promises me some upma.
We do have home-baked cookies. Do you really want upma? We can arrange that.
Anybody know what upma is? If you don't know what upma is, it's like how do you describe it, Kastuba?
It's like, usually it's made with like farina, but it's like a savory kind of farina with vegetables in it. And quite delicious.
It's savory farina.
I mean, a lot of people make it too greasy, but when you make it like fluffy.
Yeah. Well, your wife is famous for her upma, as is one of our Zoomers, Krishna Drew. She's promised me if I ever stop by her house on the way home, she's got upma waiting for me.
I'm sure she makes it very well.
I'm sure she does. This stuff is not karma. You don't learn how to make this stuff. It's janma. You're born making this.
You're born with it.
From childhood. You can't learn how to cook Indian food. You got to be born rolling those chapatis.
All right.
And so anyway, I'm going to get interviewed for the Harley Flanagan movie today.
That'll be interesting.
I'm very excited. And guess where we're doing it, Mara? At Kastuba's house.
That'll be very interesting.
It'll be very, very interesting. So we're all going to get together. I'm bringing the kids down.
No, Harley said,
Harley may babysit my kids.
He told me, he said, I was thinking, why not do it at Dave? He knows me as Dave, but why not do it at Dave's place? He's got like a temple in there and everything like that. So he wanted that Krishna vibe in it somehow.
And he said, tell him what else he said about feeding he wants the film crew to get some prasad too. So we'll hook them up. It's a good intention. He wanted the film crew to get prasad.
Yep.
That is a beautiful intention. People like Harley, they were like influencers before there was a word influencer. You know what I mean?
Was social media, they were influencers.
Yeah. Anyway, and then this weekend we have Drew Lawrence.
Excellent.
Drew Lawrence Astrology and Anu's dad.
And what we got tomorrow? And Anu's dad, you're flipping it? Okay.
Yeah. And tomorrow we have Mukunda Maharaj for our Walk on Wednesdays telling us more Prabhupada stories.
That's right.
So I'm either going to do that here, I'm going to take the train back tonight, or I'm going to stay at my mom's house.
All right.
I'm going to do it at my mom's.
Now, remember what happened last time you stayed at your mom's.
I do. That's where I smashed my nose.
Yeah, let's
This would never
be
happen
more
to
careful
Kastuba.
this time.
This stuff would never happen to Kastuba. Let's see. Do we have a nugget, my friend, today? There was a nugget.
Oh, yeah. It's a cartoon nugget. You're going to have to translate.
A cartoon nugget.
Yeah.
What the heck is that?
Good idea to pull these things up before the show starts.
You know what? It is a very good idea to do that. Okay, it's a cartoon of a sensei and a student saying, "Master, why do you tolerate insults? You should have challenged him to a fight."
So apparently, just previous to this, he was insulted by someone.
Insulted, yes. He said, and the master says, if someone brings you a gift and you don't take it, to whom does it belong? And all the students going, well, the one who offered it, right? You're giving the gift. I give a gift to Mara. Mara's like, don't want it. So it's still in my hand.
That's right.
The one who offered it. It's the same with envy and insults. If you refuse to accept them, they belong to the one who offered them.
Okay.
That is a lot of wisdom.
Envy.
How
and
much
insults.
wisdom does that kung fu culture have?
We're just digging into all of the wisdom traditions here, right?
Wisdom traditions.
I mean, I don't know really if this has any, I mean, in a sense, it certainly does. But if this is meant to be a certain sensei and a certain student, or what this cartoon is, I don't even know.
Yeah,
but it was good, right?
I fully. It's a great one, and the problem is, is when we hear insults from people who aren't our well wishers. Yeah. Meaning, I'm okay. Like I always say, do not criticize. Do not criticize. We do not criticize as devotees of Lord Krishna. We do not criticize. But sometimes I hear, well, you tell me about Kaustuba's guru who used to chastise you and critique you. We extend criticism to our teachers. They can and it's not even criticism, it's critique, it's refining. That's like if you're whittling, you're not stabbing. Right? You are carving and creating something more beautiful than's already there. Okay. So we approach teachers to critique us. We want to know how we can improve. Right. You see something, because I'm obtuse, I have some blinder, I'm short-sighted. I need you to tell me, hey, I need that that backup mirror, that backup camera that the cars have. I can't see what's behind me. I'm going to do something stupid. What do you think? And so we extend that liberty to critique us, shape us, sand us down. It's
polish.
But it's when these people that don't have our best interest, don't actually love us or want us to improve. They're just trying to take you down. They can't even be an appropriate mirror for what your shortcomings or good things are. They can't even give you an appropriate reflection. Where the guru or the teachers or the mentors we have, they're an appropriate reflection. They say, you're doing this. This is not going to help you, right? And therefore I'm going to just share this with you. But these people, they can't. They're just going to throw things at you. I don't accept that unsolicited advice. Some people say, "Oh, you should." I don't. I say you shouldn't.
Well, couldn't we learn from anyone?
You can learn from anyone, yes. But when they really don't have your best interest in mind, then they're just going to see faults that may not even be there in the first place.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think what this is speaking about is the emotional reaction, right? Someone insults me.
Yeah.
I respond with an emotional reaction. Now that in a sense, saying that response, that is an acceptance of the insult, right? Like
I went on a subtle squirrel, truthfully.
Well, no,
actually analyzed my response. It was a subtle squirrel.
No, I think your response was on topic, but what I'm saying is theoretically, someone that doesn't even wish us well may critique us, and the fact is, if we can learn from it, actually, potentially, right? But not if we're emotionally affected by the insult, right?
Right.
So we don't. So on that emotional level, we don't accept it. You don't have to accept it. That, to me, that's just like an interesting way of flipping it, an interesting way of thinking about it, right? We assume that if someone insults us, that we have no choice whether or not to accept it. But this is This is the way someone that has a little bit more control of the mind is operating, right? I can choose to accept that insult, or I can choose not to accept it and leave it with them, And if we can actually do that, then there's actually even potential from learning from those that don't wish us well too.
You know what? I find it's better for my psychological constitution that I don't even hear it. That I don't even hear it. Or else it's amazing. You could have like 1,000 people say, "Hey, good job." And one person says one little thing. It's just sticks in your mind. It's like being overly concerned about what people, and I can just like marinate on that, like that criticism. I just don't want to even hear it.
But I
Like
think
sometimes you'll say, "Oh, look at this
probably
crazy
have.
guy. Look at this crazy comment this person wrote on YouTube." I was like, I don't even want to see it.
Yeah. I mean, that's probably wise. All right. Anyway, I thought that was an interesting little nugget, huh? I wonder what the comic is. This is the kind of comic you should grow up reading, right? This kind of thing.
Yeah. Where'd you get that from, Kostuba?
I just found it somewhere. I don't know if someone posted it on Facebook or something. I don't know where I found it. I have a little squirrel storage kind of thing. You know? Yeah.
I'm just sort of like over Facebook.
Yeah, you say that with such an air of superiority.
No, I'm not. It's just like I'm over it. It's so.
Meanwhile, you're on Instagram.
It's so
24 hours a day.
2015. It's so 2015. Oh, Krishna, help me.
All right.
Great. I have no other announcements. Mara, do you?
I do. Bhakti Recovery Group's meeting today. The men meet at 11 a.m. and the women meet at 2 p.m. And then, and then tomorrow for our Patreon members, Lisa Bermudez is offering an essential oils workshop tomorrow at 6:30 p.m.
Lisa B.
Oh, I'm going to announce I'm going to my fall pilgrimages on October 23rd. And guess where we're going, Kostuba?
Vrindavan?
Yes, Vrindavan, Haridwar, Rishikesh. Yes, but we're going to Jagannath Puri.
Oh, yeah. We've been talking about that for a while. That was supposed to be this past fall. Now you're going to do it the coming fall.
Well, we're going to go to Mayapur. Now we're going to Jagannath Puri.
Oh, okay.
So I'm excited.
Beautiful.
Excited. What do you think of Puri? Have you spent
what
a lot
do I
of
think
time
of
there?
Puri? I think it's like a holy dom. I think it's like I mean, in our lineage, it has a deep, very deep importance. In Vaishnav circles in general, it has a great importance because it's where the Temple of Juggernaut is. It's a very ancient temple. We can't even trace back how far it goes. It's a very powerful holy site. But on top of that, in our particular lineage, because Sri Chaitanya lived there 500 years ago, and not only lived there, but it was his place of his deepest meditations, right? That's where he went to become deeply absorbed in understanding and experiencing the love that Radha had for Krishna, that Mahabhava. Therefore, I mean, it's an incredibly important place. So many of Sri Chaitanya's leelas, his pastimes, took place there. So, yeah.
Are you into the
Arisan?
Are you into the Arisan art?
It's cool. I like the Arisan style art.
It's like a whole nother India within India. They're right. Their script of their language, of the Arisan language. The food is unique. Their dance is unique. Their art.
You ever go to that place in Delhi? What do they call that place? The Emporium. What was it? State Emporium.
Yes.
Right?
The Emporium where they have all the.
It's called the State Emporium. There's a bunch of different shops, and each one represents a different state in India, and they all have different cultures and styles and stuff, right?
Yeah,
it's pretty cool, right?
It's incredibly cool. Well, in Puri, I go to this place called Raghu. You like this name? Raghu Rajpur. Matter of fact, if you want to call me Raghu Rajpur, you can. Raghu Raj, but Raghu Rajpur,
King
and
Raghu.
it's this little village south of Puri that has it's like an artist colony, and they just do phenomenal, massive paintings of Lord Jagannath, or they paint on coconuts, or they do incredible carvings or deities. All artists, like breathtaking.
There's a town between Bhubaneswar and Puri called
Konark.
Not Konark, Pipali. Have you ever been through Pipali?
Pipali.
You know that kind of style of art that's very it's associated with Puri. It's and generally it's done like on cloth, like it's got those kind of like bright yellows, blues, and reds, and forms of Lord Jagannath and. This really cool kind of like maybe like someone has a big cloth backdrop of it or something like that, but they make this in Pipali.
This Pipali intrigues me.
Pipali.
Have you ever been to Konark?
I have, for the Sun Temple. I've been to the Sun Temple.
So there's this massive, Mara, listen to this one. There's this massive temple built as a chariot because they said the sun god rides a chariot, and it's been desecrated by Aurangzeb. But it's still there.
Not
it's a
functioning
UNESCO
as a temple, but it's like a
it's still there as a UNESCO heritage site.
Oh, wow.
So it is breathtaking. And so there's wheels like a chariot, and they said that when you would go into this temple, the deity of the sun god, they built it with a massive magnet on the top.
Really?
So the deity would hover in the air.
What?
Can you
I've
imagine?
never heard this.
Yes.
There'd be a deity of the sun hovering in the air. That's incredible.
Hovering in the air.
Are you sure about that?
This is what I've read. This is what I've read. And I heard that the Portuguese, the magnet was so powerful, it would throw their compasses off. There's like this massive magnet. And so they destroyed that part of it. But imagine going to a temple where the deity is hovering.
And it's the deity of the sun. That'd be very cool.
It'd be very cool. Anyway, we're going to visit that.
Yeah, okay. And the sun temple.
Yes. So that's my announcement. Go to raghunath.yoga to find out more about that. Raghunath.yoga. Alrighty. What do you say we get into the Srimad Bhagavatam, my friend?
Let's do it.
I'm ready for some puri cook.
Jagannath Puri Prasad, Temple Prasad is very famous. It's the largest kitchen in the world.
You know what I want to do?
Yeah.
I want to just take a exclusive food tour of India. We got to find a food tour.
Food tour. Oh.
Where people just tell us, this is Gujarat. This is how they make it in Gujarat. This is what they eat. This is a sweet. This is a savory. This is a bread. And then you go to South India. And this is Karnataka.
You should do that as a television show. And you know who you should do it with?
Krishna Drew.
Krishna Drew. He's an astrologer. Why would you? Krishna Drew. I was thinking of Drew Lawrence. Wow.
Drew.
Okay, Krishna Drew would be a good person to do it. but I was thinking of Radhakund.
Oh,
right?
Radhakund.
You and Radhakund.
Just me and Radhakund walking around India eating.
Yeah, because one, Radhakund is such a colorful character. Two, because he's traveled India more than practically anyone. Three, he's kind of a portly guy. He would enjoy.
Portly, he loves to
he would be perfect.
I'll do it. I'll do it with him.
That would work.
That is a great idea for a television show. Then you go to Manipur, whole nother different type of cuisine.
Yeah.
Bengal.
What's your favorite cuisine amongst all the Indian cuisines?
What's my favorite?
Yeah.
It's hard to, I've just had different flavors, but I've never had someone fully explain this is how they're different.
You know the difference between South Indian and North Indian, Gujarati and Bengali, Well,
I do like my upma. I do like Northern India. I do like Bengali.
You're a Northern guy.
I went to Manipur once, which is a state across the Bay of Bengal near Nagaland.
Mm-hmm.
And I never had food that tastes, I felt like I was eating health food. It was like health.
That's like South India feels like that sometimes. It's lighter.
It was like, it felt like whole and nutritious and flavors I've never tasted before and sweets I've never imagined. You're eating things I can't even imagine.
I think you most likely lived in North India in a previous life.
I think
because
so too.
Even like the other day you were singing a bhajan. Was it on Nityananda's appearance day? Remember that? Mara, that I think it was before the show, and you were singing. And it's not, you normally don't sing the Bengali songs, and even the Bengali mood is not your mood. You're the Hindi, you do the Hindi bhajans, and you have that Hindi kind of party mood, right?
I might have been Gujarati in my previous life.
I think maybe Gujarati, maybe like Punjabi or from Haryana or something like that.
Haryana.
Yeah, and I see that food, the music, the whole mood. I think North India is your thing.
By the way, anyway, I don't want to say, but I might go to Vrindavan for Holi this year. I might just go on the way to Nepal.
Okay.
Okay.
We got to get into that. Was a squirrel. Let's get into this.
Let's get into this, guys. Narayanam namaskritya nanam chaiva narotamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam mudirayat. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances to the Supreme Lord Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and to Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayeshu badreshu nityam bhagavat sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. By regular attendance in classes in the Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart will become eradicated, and loving service to the Supreme Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, will be established as an irrevocable fact. Om Agyanatamarandasya Yananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Midatam Nena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, and my teachers are opening my eyes with a torchlight of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances at their lotus feet. Oh, boy.
What? Here comes the
we
last
had
second
such a
scroll.
good idea for a food show, and then Stephanie Berman writes that she's been watching an Indian food show on Netflix
It's already
that
been
goes to
done.
all different regions. They took my good idea.
It's already been done.
I rarely, while I was doing these prayers, instead of meditating on the prayers themselves, I was thinking, yes, a food show. Food show. And then I went right over to the message board,
Well, but you
which
know
my
what,
mind
Raghunath?
goes to on a regular basis.
But that doesn't mean it can't be done in your own way. Like you could begin to bring the spiritual traditions, the saints and so on, you know, the temples. You could also blend that into the food show, and it could become a
Okay.
much more,
There's hope.
you know, a much more full experience.
Okay, I'm gonna have to watch
Stephanie's
this
backing me
more.
up. She says exactly. Okay.
Okay. I
Yeah, it's
gotcha.
probably not all prashad that they're eating on.
They're
the
probably
show
not
that
eating any
Stephanie's
prasad.
watching.
Yeah, they're probably eating like goat curry. Who knows?
They could be. I think that's more like Jamaican or something. Right? I don't think that's Indian.
Okay. All right, let's go to this. Mara, tell us where we are in this world.
Reading from Canto 4, Chapter 7, Text 55.
Text 55. Oh, so you
55.
know what? So now we're wrapping up the chapter. We're wrapping up the whole section because there's been many chapters here, right, that have been dealing with Daksha and his insults to Lord Shiva and his big fancy religious ceremony getting turned upside down because of his own offenses, right?
Mm.
And then everyone going back with it, going to Lord Brahma, getting advised about everything. Our whole world is all screwed up. Lord Brahma saying, hey, you can't insult. Speaking of, hey, there's your example, right? When Shiva was insulted by Daksha, he didn't even respond, right? He just left it with Daksha, right? Now, when he got upset was when he was so insulting to his wife Sati. Then he actually, right? But the personal insults, Shiva didn't take it all. He just walked it off, right? But then eventually everyone has to go back to Lord Shiva. They make their apologies. Then they all come back. They do their ceremonies again, this time the right way. And then Lord Vishnu comes. Everybody offers prayers. Then Vishnu spoke. And now we're wrapping it all up. And now we go from sage level 4 to sage level 3.
Lord Shiva was like, muddy water is best cleared by leaving it alone, right? Just like, no problem. He just sort of stepped away and just let it settle. And then it all worked out.
It all worked out. Okay, so now we go back to the sage Maitreya, sage level 3.
Thus, Daksha, the head of the Prajapatis, right? The progenitors, having been nicely instructed by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, worship Lord Vishnu. After worshiping him by performing the prescribed sacrificial ceremonies, Daksha separately worshiped Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva. You know, it's interesting because they say stuff like this, you know, performing the prescribed sacrificial ceremonies, performing the prescribed sacrificial ceremonies.
Sound a little uptight to you?
No, it just sounds
Rigid?
like gobbledygook. It's just like, what are you talking about? But it's that. What do you say? If you've ever seen like these rituals, it's filled with a lot of mudras, waving things around, sprinkling water on the head. You can't even explain that. So you just got to call it performing prescribed sacrificial ceremonies. You know,
And what do we mean by prescribed?
it means it's not random. I'm not just like randomly sprinkling water over my head, throwing salt over my shoulder. They're all things that they're rituals,
Prescribed
as in
for
like
certain
mudras or
people
water.
for certain circumstances, right? Like in
Yeah,
other words, just like a doctor will prescribe a particular medicine for a particular person with a particular ailment.
There you
So
go.
the Vedic teachings, they prescribe certain rituals or certain ceremonies for certain circumstances. And so now they've done those. But you know what? I'm going to blow your mind right now, Raghunath. I'm going to blow your mind.
Ready.
Because it's not exactly like you were, I don't know if we could say this, you were thinking like Prabhupada, but you were thinking in the same vein, like you were like in the same energy as Prabhupada. We have to read this
Tell me.
commentary. We have to read this commentary. Ready?
Okay.
You want to read it?
Text 55.
No, the commentary to this text 54. Or text 55, I'm sorry, you're right, correct.
Lord Vishnu should be offered everything, and his prasad should be distributed to all the demigods. This practice is still followed. What?
You see that?
This practice is still followed in the Temple of Juggernaut at Puri. I swear to God, I did not read ahead.
Because you do not prepare for the show.
Because I do not prepare for class. Thank you. Hey, I do prepare. Mara, listen, Mara knows me so well. Mara, tell Kostuba how I prepare for class.
How does he prepare, Mara?
He's always preparing for class by listening to lectures, listening to
I accept that. You don't prepare specifically.
I don't prepare specifically. I'm always preparing, and I'm never prepared. That's how I prepare.
But this is interesting, right? The Temple of Juggernaut. Now, and you know, this is one of those things, right? We're not allowed in, right? Yeah. Like it's this massive construct. It's like the temple itself is like huge. It's like towering from the whole city. You can see you can see the top of it. But and they have a huge wall. It's like a compound. It's a massive compound, right? With like this huge wall going all around it. And it's got 4 gates, north, south, east, and west. Each one, do you know the names of the different gates?
The Singhadwar.
Singhadwar, which means the lion gate.
The lion gate. The lion door.
Yeah.
I don't know the names of the other ones.
I forget too.
You can't hot seat me unless you know the answer.
Well, that wasn't really a hot seat.
The Singhadwar is the famous one.
Singhadwar is the front gate, yeah. And then within that temple, the temple of Lord Jagannath is a temple to Krishna. It's Krishna with his brother Balaram and his sister Subhadra. And then throughout that compound, there's temples to the other devas. So in other words, this temple is like an architectural, astrological representation of like reality, with Krishna in the center and the devas, all the different gods and goddesses centered around him, right? And so the main temple is the temple to Krishna in the center, but the priests and all the rituals, they also involve the worship of the different devas, the respect shown to the different universal figures who have important responsibilities, right? And so, but how do they, now many people in their interpretation of the broader Vedic literature, they'll propose that all the gods and the goddesses are the same. As a matter of fact, we are all God. The different devas or gods and goddesses are just manifestations of that same energy of that one God. We were just actually reading about that yesterday. In one sense, that's true, but in another sense, it's not, right? One is the source of them all. One is the center of them all. One is the root of them all. And that's Krishna, Lord Jagannath. Jagannath literally means, Mara?
Lord of the universe.
Boom. She's got
very good.
Yeah. Jagannatha. So the Natha, the Lord of the Jagat, the universe. So what we're hearing about right now, what Daksha did was he made it in this ceremony that he just performed, he made offerings to Lord Vishnu, right? Particularly you offer food, and now he's going to take the results of that and he offered it to the other devas. So he offered it to Brahma and Shiva. So now Prabhupada's saying that's the same thing that they're doing in the Temple of Juggernaut. So let's continue reading this purport.
There are many temples of demigods around the main temple of Jagannath, and the prasad, which is offered first to Jagannath, is distributed to all the demigods. The deity of Bagalan is worshipped with the prasad of Vishnu. And also in the famous Lord Shiva temple of Bhuvaneshwar, the prasad of Lord Vishnu or Lord Jagannath is offered to the deity of Lord Shiva.
So that's in have you been to Bhuvaneshwar?
I've flown into Bhuvaneshwar, but I never hung out there. And I would like to. I would like to go to Bhuvaneshwar.
There's that, what's the name of the temple there to Lord Shiva? I'm forgetting now. But there's a really important ancient Lord Shiva temple.
Oh, that's the...
it's talking about that right here. Did it say? And it says the famous Lord Shiva temple in Bhuvaneshwar. I did name it.
Is that where Bindu Sarovara is?
Yeah, Bindu Sarovara is there. That's right. Where the whole, in the past we read the pastime of Devahuti and how she served her husband Kardama Muni for years, and she became like thin and her hair was kind of all dreaded out and everything like that. And then she went into that lake Bindu Sarovara. And
you can go to all these places.
Yeah.
They're still there. Everything that you read about, all these places, they're all still there. You can go to Kurukshetra. You can go to where the Bhagavatam was spoken. You can go, right?
Yeah.
It's all there.
Yeah. And so what's this is saying is even in this very famous temple of Lord Shiva, what's going on there is first they're making offerings to Lord Vishnu. And then the idea is because that's what Lord Shiva wants, right? He wants the prasad. He wants the grace, the mercy, the remnants of Lord Vishnu. And please continue.
The Vaishnava does not deride
This is a Vaishnava principle.
The Vaishnava does not even deride even ordinary living entities, right? We're not deriding a worm.
But
right?
to speak of the devas, yeah.
Right, yeah, including the small ant.
Even the tiny little ant.
Everyone is offered the proper respect according to this position. The offering, however, is in relationship to the center, the personality of Godhead, Krishna or Vishnu. The devotee who is highly elevated sees the relationship to Krishna in everything.
Boom.
He does not see anything as being independent of Krishna. That is the vision. That is a genuine vision of oneness.
Okay. So so when Prabhupada says that was his concluding line in this commentary. That is their vision of oneness, right? He said for the highly elevated devotee, they see a oneness, they also see a difference. And that's what we were talking about yesterday, achintya bheda tattva. That there certainly is a oneness and there certainly is a difference. And so they're seeing a oneness. They're seeing that everything, everyone is related around that central root of Krishna. Now the devas, the different gods and goddesses, that person who's responsible for the sun shining its light and heat throughout the universe, right? That person who's responsible for the rain, that person who's responsible for the powers of the moon and so on and so forth, the different rivers and so on. There's gods and goddesses, persons behind them according to the Vedic literature, and they all have to be respected because you don't get that position, without earning it. It's merit based, and it's great merit that these souls have accrued to take those positions. Just like, theoretically, like when we walk in a courtroom, there's a judge there, and the idea is that judge has merited that position,
right,
due to their experience and their intelligence and their knowledge and so on. And then so respect is shown, special respect is shown. And so this is pointing out that Daksha is following this whole idea. He understands it well now that Lord Vishnu is the root of all existence. Our offerings are first made to him, and then Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma. Then he's bringing the remnants, the food that's been offered to Vishnu, is then brought to them, and that's actually what they really want. That's a whole principle in everything that. I asked you about food the other day in the prophet style interview that we did on
What'd
Sunday.
I say?
You spoke about food as being a gift, like kind of like I think it had to do with like the gratitude of
nourishes. We're taken care of. It's nourishing and it tastes good.
Yeah, so that's a wonderful realization to share about food. But also, what we didn't go into was this idea of how offering the food that you eat first to God, you prepare it as an offering for God, and you offer it. This is fundamental to the yoga culture, right? I mean, it's like, it's all, you go to India, you go into the ashrams of India, even in the homes of India, this is all over the place. That in America, we never had any, maybe we said grace before the meal, right?
Like, thanks for the
Thank
food.
you, God, for providing this, which is great. Yeah. But there's a whole nother aspect going on in India and within the yoga culture, where the idea is that I'm not doing this for a selfish purpose. First, I offer the food to God with love. I cultivate devotion that way. Just like a mother might cook for her child or something like that, right? With affection, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm cooking, even, I'm not cooking for me. I'm cooking for that person that I love. And then I offer it. And so the ritual is that you cook it with that sense of devotion. And then ritualistically, you offer that food to God. And then it's said that food is not ordinary food anymore, right?
Sure. Because there's no karma in it, they say. They say it's
Right.
akarma. Because people will argue like, okay, you don't eat meat, but you're killing all those plants. Ever heard people say that to
I
you?
have heard that. Yeah, I mean,
I've heard that a few times.
there's so many ways you could answer that, but this is one of the
I mean,
this is part of it.
oftentimes you take like a romaine lettuce, you cut that lettuce, you're not actually killing it. You can regrow romaine lettuce. Try it.
Some plants
Or
are like that.
you're picking berries, you're picking apples. Sometimes when you cut those apples or trim the trees, they're giving more apples. It's not
Yeah,
killing
but
it,
if you
it's
pull
enhancing
a
the growth.
carrot out of the ground,
That's murder.
that's right.
That is murder.
Okay.
Murder one.
So,
Potatoes, carrots.
and therefore karma is I mean, in one sense, even if you take an apple, you stole it from the tree, right? It's not yours.
Well, the
in a
idea
sense,
is
nothing
also
is ours,
there's
right?
once
In a
you're
sense-
in this world, even to go and pick the apples, God knows what I'm stepping on. What to speak of, you got these reapers and things that are going through and like, chopping up wheat and stuff like that. You're killing gophers and mice. I mean, hang out in the fields. Things are living out there. So just to process food and things are dying. So there's karma in everything we do. Maybe
Okay.
it's right. And there's different levels, right? There's different levels of intention behind things. Like if I intentionally wanted to kill somebody, that's a different crime than I accidentally backed up my car and I killed somebody.
What to speak of if, as a police officer, you had to kill somebody to protect others, and you did it on
Sure.
behalf of the higher power of the state?
that won't even get considered as murder at all. Or if you're
No
a
karma.
soldier,
Yeah.
there's no karma. So in the same way, there are different levels of karma we get, and the Vedas have a whole metric of how do you know how bad of karma this is? And they have a whole way to measure it. And then they say that there's akarma or no karma. And that's what we're working towards, where we're in this world acting, but not receiving karma. And then karma is actually just, is an interesting way to put.
Mm-hmm.
It's that which gives you another material body, action that gives you another material body. So when you're acting in akarma, it's activities that will not give you a future body.
Right.
That actually, because we won't be of this world. So all you have is your spiritual body.
Right. So in other words, and then Krishna begins to speak about this in the 3rd chapter of the Gita, right? Because it's just he's using it to express a broader idea. He's using it to express the idea. He's using it as an example of a broader idea that everything that we do in life should be made an offering to God, right? Not only the food that we eat, but our thoughts, our actions, our duties in life, they should all be made as an offering to God, right? It's such an important principle. And he explains it to Arjuna through this idea, like, here's something that you're very familiar with, Arjuna, right? Growing up in that culture, you're familiar with the idea of offering our food before we eat it, right? Because in one sense, the food's not ours. We're a thief if we just take it and we don't offer it first, right? So and as you're saying, when it's offered, it becomes akarma, right? There's good karma, there's bad karma, right? But the devotees
they give us a good fortune or bad fortune.
Good fortune or bad fortune,
and we're not interested in either one.
Exactly.
Although I like good karma.
A little good fortune.
I like good fortune.
But the
I
thing
want
is
good
this.
luck.
But the thing is, so in other words, how I behave in this world, I can be cultivating either. You could say, when we say good karma or bad karma, it's like good merit or bad merit, right?
Sure.
My activities that are performed with selflessness, my activities that are performed through, a sense of kindness or generosity, etc., those will bring good karma. They will bring experiences of pleasure, the things that I, want in the future. Bad karma means, I'm acting through selfishness. I'm acting with cruelty. I'm miserly. Then those actions, because they are very unnatural to the self, which is devotional, and serving by nature, right? So the way that nature is designed with the law of karma, the law of karma is like a program plugged into the virtual reality of the world, and it's rewarding good karma. It's rewarding pleasure and so on as a result to when we act with good merit, and it's rewarding pain in some way or another, suffering in some way or another, when we act in a way that's opposite our nature. And as you were saying, we are interested in not cultivating good or bad karma. We're not here to, we certainly don't want to suffer in this world, but also we're not interested in trying to enjoy this world, right? The yogi, the Vaishnava, the bhakti yogi is saying, I'm not interested in either one. I just want to act for the pleasure of God and not get good or bad karma, and that's called akarma. But actually what you receive for that is actually a merit that's it's not good or bad karma, but you get a transcendental good reaction, right? In other words, you cultivate, what's the term for it? I think it's it's slipping my mind, but like it's bhagya, something bhagya. It's like anyway, it's like a transcendental good merit that you're cultivating through that, right?
Karuna, 8 years old from Lebanon, says, if we chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, will we become free from karma?
Oh, it's very helpful. Yeah. I mean, that activity itself is karma. And I mean, someone could potentially chant the Maha Mantra with a karmic purpose, right?
Yeah,
with a karmic
too.
desire. Yeah, but that's not how we've been taught to chant it. That we've been taught to chant it on the akarma level, right? That we're offering ourselves to God through that mantra. Dear Lord, dear energy of the Lord, please accept my service. Please accept me as your servant.
I've also heard, I don't know if Prabhupada said this or if somebody made it up. Maybe you can clarify. But the idea is that you're chanting karma, you're engaged in bhakti, you're still getting some reaction for past deeds. Mm-hmm. This aparabdha karma, this karma that's not yet manifest, and then one day just manifests. Like, oh my God, I broke my leg. It is like the unplugging of a fan.
Yeah,
the fan's still spinning, but it's it's slowing down. Yeah. So we're still getting some reaction, but it's lessened. Like where I should have broke my leg, maybe my leg should have been sliced off or something like that. It's lessened the karma, but it's slowing down from material reactions. And we're developing both the vantage point that actually the karma that I'm getting is actually now really perpetuating me towards my liberation. Mm-hmm. What do you think about that?
Well, yeah, it's the one way to look at it is like this. When we turn our back to the root, right? When we turn our back to our source, when we turn our back to God and say, I'm not interested in reconnecting with you. I'm actually interested in forgetting you, and I want to pursue pleasure on my own. Then what happens is we enter into a system, right? And that system, it has laws and it works according to those laws, right? Like the law of karma, for instance. Everything that we do that's kind or generous or etc., you're going to get some kind of pleasant response from that, either in this life or sometime in a future life. And again, vice versa, if you're being cruel, etc., you're going to feel some pain. And now you're in that system, and that system works automatically, right? There are devas that are responsible for making sure that it's all working well. But there's Krishna is like, okay, if that's what you want, you can have it. And he's, in a sense, sitting on the sideline, right? Waiting for you to turn back. But so we go through the world and we accrue karma. And you and I and everyone here, we've got like we may not be able to read it and understand it, but we can rest assured that we've got like a whole bank account of which has good and bad karma that, as you use the term, what aprarabdha, it's unmanifest yet, right? My body right now, the circumstances I am, that's my prarabdha karma. It's manifest. It's already appeared, right? Whereas this aprarabdha karma means it's sitting there waiting to manifest in like a seed-like form.
So it's sort of scary, isn't it? The aprarabdha karma means you have seeds that are going to grow into some karma.
Well, here's
it's like an astrological chart, sort of.
Yeah, well, sure. And so here's the good news, is that at any moment we can turn back. Right? We can say, Krishna, I made a mistake. I admit it.
Okay. I made a terrible mistake. I say that occasionally.
What have I done? I made a terrible mistake by turning my back on you. And now I've entered into the system, and I've been trying to enjoy the system, but actually, there's a lot of pain involved with the system too, and I've had enough of it. I want to reconnect with you. Now we may turn around and say that we still got all that prarabdha karma stored up, right? And as you're saying, Prabhupada used the analogy, it's like pulling the plug out of the fan. It's still running, but it's not running with the same power, with the same effectiveness. So in one sense, it's saying that once you turn back, it's like the plug has been pulled, and your corruptive karma is now going to come not as severely as it was going to come before, and it's gradually running out. That's one thing. But as you were saying, this is an interesting point, right? Is now that once you've turned back, in a sense, all the rules of the system that you've voluntarily entered into, all of the laws that are operating there, you are no longer exactly subject to them, because the lawmaker just suddenly has taken an interest in you, right? He's like, okay, I was waiting for you to turn back. Now everything that's happening in your life, I'm personally involved in, right? Like, I'm getting involved in, and if you're getting pleasure, it's because I wanted you to have pleasure. And if you're feeling pain, it's because I'm trying to help you through that pain. I'm no longer just delegated you to the system. I'm right there with you, everything that you get is, personally connected to me. That's what happens when you
I'm watching
enter the realm of bhakti. Well, I don't know if it's exactly like that. I mean, in one sense, he's watching all the time. But, the example in the Upanishads is used of the birds, two birds sitting in the tree, right? One is trying to taste the fruits. The two birds are the soul and the super soul in the tree of the body. The Paramatma, which is God, and the soul. And the soul is like a bird on the branch that's trying to taste the fruit. The other bird's sitting there watching and waiting. As soon as some of the fruit is sweet, some of the fruit's bitter. I'm waiting for you to turn around back to me, reconnect. Yeah. Why don't we wrap up the chapter? We got a few minutes and we're almost done. Text 56.
Okay. With all respect, Daksha. With
with all respect, Daksha. With all respect.
With all respect, Daksha worshiped Lord Shiva with his share of the remnants of the yajna. After finishing the ritualistic sacrificial activities, he satisfied all the other demigods and the other people assembled there. Then, after finishing all these duties with the priests, he took a bath and was fully satisfied.
Yeah, then you take that ceremonial bath too, right? It has a purifying effect on the.
Is it a shower or is it a bath?
A bath. What do you think they had, like a?
Like a bathtub?
No, they probably in a river. You bathe in a river.
Oh, okay. Yeah, why not?
A tank,
A tank.
They call it a tank in India.
Isn't it a weird name? They call it a tank.
Tank in the tank.
Yes, the holy tank. The holy tank.
The tank. What is like? Is rolling in here with a massive cannon on it.
I know. Tank.
They call it a tank, though.
Worshipping. Thus, I wonder if it's a British thing.
Tank.
Yeah.
I mean, there is we have.
If you're from England, from England, right on the board, tank. I mean, like, is that a bathing?
It's like
thing?
we would call it like a man-made pond or something like that, right? They call it a tank.
We don't. Yeah. Yes. Thus, worshiping the Supreme Lord Vishnu by the ritualistic performance of sacrifice, Daksha was completely situated on his religious path, or his dharma eva matim datva, his dharmic path. Moreover, all the demigods who had assembled at the sacrifice blessed him that he might increase his piety, and then they left. Text 58. Maitreya said, I have heard that after giving up the body she had received from Daksha, his daughter, they call her Dakshayani, took her birth in the kingdom of the Himalayas.
So there's a little side note here.
This is a very interesting little trivial pursuit here.
Yeah, because
she was born the daughter of Meena, and I heard this is where she got the name Parvati.
Well, but this is like, okay, we heard this story. This was really important for us to hear. We learned a lot of important lessons. But hold it. What about Sati? Right? Because like that big dramatic thing where she took her own life by self-immolation, yogically right in front of everyone. Can we find out what happened to her?
Yep.
So then we're finding out right now.
She was born as the daughter of Meena. I heard this from authoritative sources. So that's how she got, right? She was called Parvati because she was the daughter of the mountain.
Parvat means mountain, right?
Yeah.
Parvati. She comes from the mountain.
Meena is also known as Menaka, the wife of the king of the Himalayas. Interesting side note. Next time we play that Krishna trivia game that we play.
Mm-hmm.
Ambika, goddess Durga, who is known as Dakshani Sati, again accepted Lord Shiva as her husband. So they have this eternal relationship. She keeps taking birth as the wife of Lord Shiva. Again, accepted Lord Shiva as her husband, just as different energies of the personality of Godhead act during the course of a new creation.
So it keeps happening.
Maitreya said, "My dear Vidura, I heard this story of the Daksha Yagya, right, the sacrifice of Daksha, which was devastated by Lord Shiva from Uddhava, a great devotee and disciple of Brihaspati."
So that's a way of saying,
I didn't just make
making
this
stuff up. Yeah, I
this-
heard it from a really qualified source who was a good disciple of Brihaspati, who's like, he's the guru of all the devas.
It's like sometimes I'll tell some story and Kastuba will be
Where'd
like,
you
"Where'd
get
you hear
that?"
that from?" I was like, "It's just a story. Everybody knows the story." He goes, "Where'd you hear it? But who told it to you?" I was like, "It's just the story. Everybody says it in Vrindavan." I want a source. So in this culture, we don't like just stories for the sake of stories because they could be completely fabricated. Everything. So even here, he's saying, "I'm not just making this stuff up. I heard it from an authoritative source. It came from Uddhava, disciple of Brihaspati."
Right.
Oh my
God.
God.
Now here comes the Falshruti, the last verse.
"If one hears and again narrates with faith and devotion," check, "the story of Daksha Yagya as it was conducted by the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vishnu, then certainly one is cleared of all contamination of material existence."
All that karma, the Parabdha
So
karma.
we got
and all
that going for us today.
Yeah. All right.
Feels good. If one hears again, if one hears and again narrates with faith and devotion this story of the Daksha Yagya as it was conducted by the personality of Godhead Vishnu, then certainly one is cleared of all material contamination.
The contamination of material existence, O son of Kuru. So Raghunath, what that means is that like you and I are covered because we heard it and we narrated it, right?
What
But
about
all our Mara, well, I think she's got to go out and narrate it. That's what I'm going to say. I think that everybody that listens to the show, they got to go out and narrate this to someone. Find someone and tell them this wild story about how Daksha offended Shiva, and then Shiva's wife came and and lit herself up yogically in front of everyone, and then everyone learned their lesson. You got to narrate this story to someone.
I wonder if Daksha is like, that's it. He's good. He carries on with life. Or if he needs like therapy, having that goat head. Like, what? It's really tough.
It's hard to imagine him walking around with a goat head and doing all this. But, we're going to hear more about... First of all, hats off to Daksha, right?
Hats off to Daksha. He started over with a new perspective of life and changed his ways. He changed his attitude. He had an attitude adjustment.
That's right. So he learned from it, right? He grew and he adapted the right attitude. So we got to be more like him, right?
Yeah.
But but also we're going to hear more about Daksha in the 4th canto. It's coming up, and it's not going to be good again. It's going to screw up. I don't know if what we're going to hear about later in the Bhagavatam took place before or after this incident. I'm not sure about that. Maybe we could look into that.
Okay. Let's send our people checking in on that.
He's going to offend another pure devotee.
All right, we're going to fact check all this stuff and come back to you. Mara, do we have any takeaways? I got to get on a train.
All right.
If you don't accept an insult, it stays with the one who spoke it.
That's right.
Ooh.
At least according to who says that? Where'd that come from? What was this
what's the authority on that?
Don't accept an insult by granting it an emotional reaction.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Deep.
Lord Vishnu is the root.
Yes.
A devotee sees everything in relationship to Krishna.
Yep.
Offer your food with love and devotion. Our thoughts and duties should be an offering to God.
Offer your food with love and devotion. That's the takeaway.
Why not?
Do you not like it?
You got a problem with that? What's why are you questioning that?
Okay, I was just like,
what?
We spent a lot of time talking about offering food.
Okay.
Well, I don't understand your hesitation.
I guess it's like sort of like stating the obvious, like Krishna is God. But I guess you could say that. I guess that's
most people don't offer their food with love and devotion.
All right.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, continue on.
Our thoughts and duties should be an offering to God. We're not interested in good or bad karma. We want akarma.
Mm-hmm.
turn back to Krishna to get out of the system.
That's right.
And grow and learn from getting a goat head.
Yes.
We don't
There
need
it
this
is. That's a
system.
Now that's a T-shirt. Screw the system.
I don't want to be a part of the system.
And Karuna says, fully surrender unto Krishna all the time, and do not just connect with God when you want something.
You see that? Karuna. She knows. She knows the deal.
Yeah.
You wrote me a private message again that says, I can narrate that story to you too.
Oh, I got that message
My
too.
pleasure.
I got that message from.
We're competing. Who gets private messages? I want more private messages.
All right, Rugger. Got to come
All right.
talk with a little
Okay, well,
Harley
I'm going to
Guitar
see you
today.
down there. I'm going to walk in your apartment and hit you with a pillow. That's the first thing I'm going to do. Hit you and Harley with a pillow.
All right. And then anything could happen.
You could be like the Daksha Yagya.
It could.
If I come back with a goat head, Mara, you'll know what happened.
Don't let Gita Priya go up in flames, please.
Oh, my God. Anything could happen.
Oh, Mara.